Now we look at all the rosters and franchise history for the New Orleans Pelicans. We can look at those teams that featured Chris Paul and David West. We can even look at the squad that featured Anthony Davis, Boogie Cousins, and a backcourt of Rajon Rondo and Drew Holiday. I don't think none of the rosters in franchise history is as dangerous as the current 2022-2023 New Orleans Pelicans. And this team features Zion Williamson, Brandon Ingram, Jonas Valanciunas, CJ McCollum, Herbert Jones, and so many other solid basketball players. And right now they're playing some of the best basketball in all of the NBA. They currently have a record of 16-8, which is good enough for the best record in a very loaded Western Conference. They've won 8 out of their last 10 ball games, and they're currently on a 5-game winning streak. And we look at the New Orleans Pelicans statistically, they are dominating on both sides of the basketball. Offensively, they rank 4th in the NBA in points scored per game, and in overall offensive rating, they rank 6th in the NBA, and then they're also getting it done on the defensive side of the ball. This is very impressive to me. Right now, they are 3rd in all of the NBA in defensive rating, and we all know what the saying is, defense wins championships. Now, the New Orleans Pelicans, there's so many different things that makes them dangerous, and I think what's separating them from the rest of the competition right now is their elite depth. Now, when your 2 best players are Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, I think it's very critical to have the right supporting cast around these guys, and the type of players I want to see around Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson are guys that can do a little bit of everything, guys that can defend at a very high level, guys that can knock down the wide open 3-point shot, and guys that can rebound the basketball. And I think the New Orleans Pelicans, they've done an awesome job of surrounding these types of players around their 2 superstars. And I think it all started in last year's NBA draft when they picked up 2 great guys, and they also got one of the biggest steals in NBA draft history, and that was Herbert Jones, and the other guy that they picked up was Trey Murphy III. And we also have to throw Jose Alvarado into this mix as well. Now, he wasn't selected on the 2021 NBA draft night, but when the New Orleans Pelicans did sign him to the squad, this was his first time playing in the NBA, so he was listed as a rookie, so technically he is a part of the 2021 NBA draft class. But nonetheless, Herbert Jones, Trey Murphy III, Jose Alvarado, all 3 of these guys are sophomores in the NBA, and they play a very critical role for the team with the #1 record in the Western Conference. And that's probably my favorite thing about these 3 players. Coming into the NBA, they all seem so poised, and they all look like they've been in the NBA for a minimum of 5 years. Now, before we go any further in today's video, I want to talk to you guys about today's sponsor, Ultra Game. Ultra Game is a clothing company that creates NBA apparel, and I'm actually wearing one of their products right now. This is a long sleeve shirt. It came with a quarter zipper, and most importantly, it has the logo of my favorite team, the Detroit Pistons. And the great thing about Ultra Game is that they create apparel for all 30 teams in the NBA, and they have so many great styles and selections to choose from. They have zip up and pull over hoodies. They have a bunch of different shirts you guys can choose from. They even create sweatpants and joggers. So if you guys are looking for some new gear to represent your favorite NBA team, I highly suggest Ultra Game. The link will be down low in the description and in the comment section. And another great thing about Ultra Game is that their shop is set up on Amazon, so it's very easy to use, and your stuff is going to get to you fairly quickly. Now we can get back to the video, and we look at Herb Jones. As soon as he came onto the scene for the New Orleans Pelicans, he immediately became their primary defender. And last season, no matter who the New Orleans Pelicans faced, the opposing team's best player, no matter if it was a point guard or a center, for majority of that game, Herb Jones would be guarding that player. And also, we look at the playoffs. For a rookie, he had a huge responsibility energy. In the first round against the Phoenix Suns, almost 99% of the time that he was on the court, he was faced with either guarding Chris Paul or Devin Booker. And also, Trey Murphy, he's one of the most confident rookies I've ever seen last year for the New Orleans Pelicans, especially down the stretch of the season. Seeing him take so many big-time three-point shots. We seen him do it in the play-in tournament against the San Antonio Spurs and the Los Angeles Clippers, also in the first round against the Phoenix Suns. And these three-point shots would be so timely. It would be when the New Orleans Pelicans needed to stop a run or when they needed to tie the ball game up. Trey Murphy was never afraid to take the three-point shot in those moments. And this season, we've seen him get so much better. The three-point shot is better. He's shooting it from all over the court. He's shooting it from deep. And he's also evolving as a defender. And he's also evolving when it comes to pitting the basketball on the floor and making a move to free up himself and free up his teammates. So I'm loving Trey Murphy, and also Jose Alvarado, who I think was also a steal for the New Orleans Pelicans last season. No way that he should have went undrafted. Now, Jose Alvarado, he has proved to us that he brings a little bit of everything to the game of basketball for the New Orleans Pelicans, and he has an impact on both the offensive and the defensive side of the basketball. Now, what I love about him is that he plays the point guard position, but he has the ability to play off the ball alongside guys like Zion Williamson, CJ McCollum, and Brandon Ingram, because he has proved that he can knock down the catch and shoot three-point shot. And then also, when those three guys that we just named are not on the court, Jose Alvarado, he has the ability to put the basketball in his hands and run the offense. He can operate the pick and roll. He can penetrate to the rim, drawing in defenders to set up his teammates for baskets. And just not too long ago, he just went off for 38 points, hitting 8 out of 11 of his three-point shots. So he's still evolving on the offensive side of the basketball, and we know what the best part of his game is as of right now, and that's what he does defensively. And just like Herb Jones in that matchup against the Phoenix Suns, Jose Alvarado, 99% of the time that he was out there on the court, he was tasked with guarding the great Chris Paul, picking him up full court. He even forced him into an 8-second violation once, and he also got his signature steal against CP3 as well. So I think all three of these guys, Trey Murphy, Herb Jones, Jose Alvarado, they all look very impressive in their rookie seasons, and they all are carrying that over into this season. And I love the way they fit around Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson, because they do all the little things, making those guys' jobs a lot easier. And the Pelicans have a bunch of other guys like this as well. We can look at Larry Nance Jr., who I love a lot. He plays with a lot of energy. He can knock down the three-point shot. He can play in the pick and roll as the roll man, great lob threat. And then on the defensive side of the ball, he's pretty athletic and mobile for his size, so you can switch him onto smaller players. We look at what they did in this year's draft. They got Dyson Daniels, who seems like every single game he's getting better, and he's working on getting more and more minutes for the Pelicans. He just got his first double-double the other night. And the Pelicans also got some very solid veterans on this team as well. CJ McCollum and Jonas Valanciunas. And by the way, CJ McCollum is not even playing his best basketball just yet. He's putting up 17 points per game, but he's not being very efficient. I believe right now he's shooting like 41% from the field and 33% from the three-point line. And I don't expect that to be the case for CJ McCollum all season long. So I feel like the New Orleans Pelicans, they got all these great guys, all these great role players, McCollum, Valanciunas, Najee Marshall, Alvarado, the list goes on and on. But the biggest reason to why these guys are so dangerous is their two best players, Brandon Ingram and Zion Williamson. Now, let me tell you guys, I think the rest of the Western Conference should be very worried, because Brandon Ingram, he's only played in 15 out of the 24 games for the New Orleans Pelicans. Despite that, they still have one of the best offenses in the NBA, and they have the #1 record in the Western Conference even though they've been missing one of their best players for about a third of the season. And whenever Brandon Ingram has suited up for the Pelicans this year, he's been playing some great basketball, in my opinion, putting up 21 points per game to go along with 5 assists and 5 rebounds. And he's been so efficient this season, shooting 47% from the field, 46% from the three-point line, which is insane. And he's also knocking down 86% of his free throws. So he's having an all-star caliber season, and I think we all was expecting this from Brandon Ingram. What he did in the playoffs, going for 30 points in 3 straight games, is very hard to do, especially when you're playing the same team over and over, and they're just game planning on how to stop you, and they just can't do it. So I can't wait for Brandon Ingram, can't wait for him to be fully healthy this season so we can see more of him and Zion Williamson, because I think they have the opportunity to be one of the best duos in the NBA. And man, speaking of Zion Williamson, I don't think we've ever seen anything like him. And we talked about this all off season long. We kept saying that he is the ultimate matchup nightmare because there's no right defender you can put on Zion Williamson. We can go watch all of his highlights from this season. You put a bigger guy on him. I don't know if it's just me, but does it look like his handle has gotten better? I just see him breaking guys down a lot more. He's doing all the dribble moves, in and out crossover, between the legs crossover. He's hitting guys with the hezzy, and if he has a center on him or a bigger guy, once he breaks them down and he uses that quick first step, that burst is so hard to guard for bigger guys because he's so quick, man. He doesn't look like, with the way he plays, how fast he jumps, how strong he is, guys don't expect him to be that fast, but when he uses that quick first step, it's nothing those opposing bigs can do. Once he gets that shoulder or that hip past you, it's game over and it's an easy layup. And then once the opposing team try to throw a faster player on him, Zion is a great post player. He has tremendous footwork and has barbecue chicken down there on that low block. And he himself, he's having a fantastic season, all NBA type season, 24 points per game, 7 rebounds, and he's shooting 60% from the field. So I love having Zion Williamson out there for the Pelicans because he makes life a lot easier for everyone else, because he attracts so much attention when he's being dominant like that. All of a sudden everybody is getting wide open 3-pointers or wide open cuts to the rim. So the New Orleans Pelicans, man, for all those reasons, all the players we just talked about, I think this is the most dangerous team they've had in franchise history. And even though this is a young squad, I think they have a serious chance to compete for that NBA title. But that's going to be it for today's video. If you guys enjoyed, please leave a like, comment down below if you agree or disagree, and then subscribe for more weekly content. We do this all the time, man, and that's curtains.